Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Hi, so if you'd just like to introduce yourself to the students and tell them a bit about your role in the company that you're working for at the moment.
Okay, will do. So my name's Debbie Morris and I currently work as the Learning and Development Team Leader at Sherwood Forest Hospitals. I'm based at Kingsmill Hospital, but Sherwood Forest has Kingsmill, Mansfield and Newark hospitals. It's quite a large general hospital, acute trust. We work, I think we have about 5,000 colleagues now working at Kingsmill, and we've got 650 beds over the 3 sites. So we are quite busy, and with that amount of staff, you can imagine there's quite a bit of training.
Yeah.
So my role as Learning and Development Team Leader is I look at those kind of personal work skills, career development, those kind of things. So I don't deal with the clinical side. So I work as part of the training, education and development team. And that department has got several areas within it. So it has, it's got the professional education training team. So they do a lot of the clinical skills. It's got the resource team who do the emergency resource training. We have a library within that. We have the OLM who do all the online monitoring of learning. We've got a leadership team. We've got a medical education team who look after the doctor's side of training. And then there's the learning and development team. So that's the area in which that I'm the team leader for. So a lot of our work involves creation of training sessions really for staff, and we'll create that. Typically in the past it was always face-to-face training sessions. However, now due to COVID we are now having to develop virtual training sessions over platforms such as Zoom or Teams. And we also create e-learning packages as well, because we've got our own e-learning platform that staff can go on at their own convenience really. So we also put programs onto there. We do things like, we also facilitate the orientation day. So we look after all the new starters. So we must have at least 30, we must do probably about 600 new staff each year, I would guess, and we introduce them to the trust, and we do that every 2 weeks. My team facilitates that. We also, as I said, we look at careers, so we provide careers advice. So we do that in group sort of Microsoft Teams sessions where we're providing advice around a particular area, but we also offer it on a one-to-one basis with staff in the trust, so they can book a session and we'll provide some advice about where staff are now, where they want to get to, and how we can help them get there really. We also do work like this kind of work really, so health ambassador type work. So my team's very much involved in promoting NHS Careers out to schools and colleges. We'll attend fairs, we'll do mock interviews to help the students. So it's very much around that supportive, developing yourself to do well in your career, and that's what the team's involved in. And I'm just sort of one of the team. I suppose my additional duties would be the management side of things. So I have quite a bit of management as well involved because I'm the team leader. So I have to look after the staff and work allocation and rotas and all that kind of thing as well. And looking at the strategy and where we're heading at that sort of slightly higher level. So that's sort of pretty much what I currently do at the moment. So I sit within what's classed as a corporate function, I suppose, which is a function not many people are aware of in the NHS. And we've got huge corporate functions that people can come and join the NHS really. It's I'm just one of the managers. We have loads of managers in the NHS. We've also got an HR, we've got a finance, we've got marketing through our communications. So, you know, most jobs that you can get in the outside world, you could actually do working at Sherwood Forest Hospitals.
Oh, okay. So can you give me a little bit more information about your kind of typical day?
That's the hardest bit, really, I think,
There is
because
no typical day.
yeah, exactly. And to be honest, that's why I enjoy this job so much, because there is not a typical day. I don't have like a set routine where each day you've got to do this with the patients or that with the patients, or, you know, it's not the same job that you're doing sort of day in, day out. So it all depends whatever sort of developmental project that we're involved in at that time. And being the learning and development team, we're very responsive to what the organisation wants.
Yeah.
So changes will happen. So obviously lots of things have just changed because of COVID, and there's been new learning, particularly around well-being and support and people feeling like they're supported. But also there could be other things. So in the NHS, we just had the new people plan come out, and that's got lots of actions that the NHS needs to be doing for the staff. So I very much work, my team very much work for the staff and what the staff need and what we need to provide to our staff as an organisation.
Okay.
So it's really hard to say a typical. I did look at sort of what I've been doing for the past week, so that might give you an indication if you want me to talk you through that. So I've just finished developing a study skills e-learning package. So we've got quite a number of staff who are, I suppose, returning to study as a mature student after a period of time. So through apprenticeships, so we're using quite a lot of apprenticeships within our organisation. We do try and encourage people to take on new apprentices, but we're also encouraging existing staff to use apprenticeships as a way of developing themselves and their career. So we've got some people who perhaps have been in their role for a long while and now are starting to aim for that higher level, and haven't done studying. So I've been finishing that e-learning package to help them. I've had a meeting with the regional apprenticeship leads across the Nottinghamshire. So we all get together on a monthly basis to make sure we're all working the same. I've dealt with lots and lots of emails and inquiries about training and development opportunities that I answer. I've been plotting a Gantt chart to look at project management for the team's work, because we've got lots of work at the moment, new work that's coming off, and we're being pulled in quite a few different directions. So in order to prioritise that, I've been working on a Gantt chart. So just to process and map really what we're doing as a team until March. I've been receiving some training, which is also nice, on quality, service and redesign, which is great. So looking at how we improve the services within the NHS and the processes that you need to go through. I've had a meeting with Health Education England around changes and developments that are happening with their training. I've been reviewing job descriptions of my team, which is part of the managerial role. And lastly, I have run 3 career clinics as well.
You have a lot to do.
So yeah, it's very, very varied and very interesting. I think one of the things I would say about the job is, I think the kind of person it would really appeal to is those people who might be thinking about going into teaching, that side of thing. And often they think about teaching and teaching younger students, but they don't actually think about going into, an adult education training role. So in effect, a lot of what we do is very similar to that, but with adult learners rather than children, really. But yeah, it's very varied.
Yeah, it sounds good. So what path did you take to get to where you are now?
Well, so my background was pharmacy. So I've been in hospital pharmacy for over 25 years, started there straight from school. And I took various roles within pharmacy, and I've always had an interest in the training side of it. And I've, absolutely always been involved in training of staff for many years. But my last role within pharmacy was as the lead technician for training and development within pharmacy. So it was my job to train any new staff coming into the dispensary, put them through their revalidations, make sure that they were reaching the standards that were required, doing assessment of the MVQ students, so the new pharmacy students. I was an MVQ assessor, really enjoyed that. And in order to do that, they put me through my D32-33, which is the level 3 assessor qualification. And really enjoyed that side of things, and had close links through the MVQ assessment to the trust training team. And then a job became available within training for a trainer assessor for the trust. And previously it always said you needed to be a qualified nurse in order to do this role, but they recently reviewed that and removed the requirement of being a nurse and replaced it with a registered healthcare professional. So because I was a pharmacy technician, I am a registered professional because we have to be on the General Pharmaceutical Council's register. So I was able to then apply for this role. So I applied for the role and luckily got that role, and that was about 6 years ago. So I moved into being assessing across the hospital. So rather than just assessing staff doing pharmacy qualifications, I was involved in staff undertaking business admin qualifications or healthcare support or clinical health qualifications. I didn't do the health and social care side of things because I wasn't a qualified nurse, but other clinical qualifications I was able to do, such as phlebotomy, those kind of qualifications. So I did that, and was also involved in developing training sessions as well for the trust. And I did that for probably only about a year, because when I joined, the team leader post was vacant at the point at which I joined. They'd retired along with another member of staff. So after a year, I did mention during my appraisal to my manager I would be interested in that post, but I didn't feel I got enough experience at that point. But she thought that I'd got plenty of experience because, you know, I thought I needed more experience in the training department. Yeah. But when we actually looked at what was required, they wanted somebody who got managerial experience. Well, I'd had managerial experience previously in pharmacy. One of my jobs was as a senior technician for inpatients and clinical services. So I was responsible for line managing the technicians and the assistants. And I'd had experiences of assessing. I've had experience of developing training packages. I did that in pharmacy as well as for the trust. And I'd already started my, what's the word? Internal quality assurer, my IQA qualification. So I applied for the job, and I was successful and got the team leader, and it really pulled together, I suppose, my experience in management and my experience in assessing. Yeah. So that's, you know, that's how I ended up sort of where I did, really. And I absolutely love my job now. It's really, really good. I really enjoy it.
So have you got any tips for the students if they wanted to pursue a career in your kind of field, in kind of a learning and development type role? What would you recommend that they do?
Oh, I think it's very much about being a people person. So I think you've got to work on that. I think looking at things around information, giving of information and advice and guidance, there's a lot of that involved in it. But most of the information around training is so much out there, even just on the internet. You know, in the internet, you can just look and just Google training skills, and there's so much out there on how to put yourself across, really, how to develop training packages. It isn't rocket science. I think one thing people get very scared about when it comes to training is the fact that they don't feel like they know everything themselves. Yeah. Because they've not experienced it, they've not done that role before. So how can I possibly write a training package on a subject that I don't actually do? But there's so much information out there. And I think it's a quote that stuck with me for a long time. I think it's Anthony Horowitz, you know, the writer. Yeah. And he writes, and people say that he must know so much about what he writes about, you know, about the army and the guns and everything. And he says, no, he said, knowledge is everywhere. Yeah. You just look for it and you can gather that knowledge. So it's a good combination of a role, I think, for somebody who is quite sort of methodical and theoretical, but also likes people.
Mm-hmm.
So normally you say you're one or the other. And I think if you've got a leniency towards both of those sides, it is a really, really good job role, because I think, you know, you need to approach it quite methodically in terms of research and developing training packages, but equally the sort of career advice and developmental side really needs you to have that degree of understanding and being able to guide people and talk to people. So it's a real mix, I think, of personality. So perhaps I'm a Gemini, so maybe I'm a split personality. So perhaps that's why it suits me. But you know, I always thought I was very very scientific with the pharmacy background side of things, and you do need that in my job. But equally, you know, you need that sort of personality where people feel able to talk to you and approach you.
Yeah. Is there anything that you'd have done differently?
Yeah, probably got into this a lot sooner if I could have done.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, but I just don't know. It takes courage, I think, when you've been in a job for quite a long time to completely change your career. And it took me a while to let go of my pharmacy. In fact, this is the first year I'm no longer registered. So I was scary, very, very scary, because this is like, if you're not registered as a technician, you can't work as a technician moving forward.
Did you choose not to register then, or?
Yeah, because it became too difficult to maintain my registration, because when you're registering, you're almost saying that you are practicing, you are keeping up to date with what is happening, you know, in that field. And I was finding it too hard to keep up to date with what was happening in that field as well as this current field. So I did make a choice that, you know, I couldn't continue that registration. So it was a bit nerve-wracking, but I'm registered elsewhere. So I'm registered as a manager with the Institute of Leadership and Management. So, you know, I've maintained a degree of registration, but just in a different profession. But yeah, it was quite scary to let go. So I think the only reason I really did it was because it was still within my organisation. So it was still quite familiar. If I'd had the courage, I suppose, I may have gone perhaps private and doing this kind of role a while ago. So it was around about 18 years ago, I did my level 5 diploma in leadership and management through work. And at that point, I was looking at different job roles I could do, and I was looking into changing and going into being perhaps an operational manager within one of the divisions in hospital, or maybe going and being a practice manager within a GP practice. So I was certainly looking at developing my managerial side of things at that point. But in the end, I didn't jump ship. And I think, you know, I think have the confidence, I would say to people, have the confidence to do what you think is right for you, and take those chances and apply for those jobs. Particularly women. Can I put this out there? Particularly women.
You can.
And my reason for saying that is I'm not going, oh, go women.
No.
But a recent poll suggested that when people are looking at a job description and a person's specification.
I've heard of this.
Have you heard of this?
Yes.
So if if a man reads it and feels like he has got 50% of those requirements, they will apply for that job. If you're a woman, then they say on average, a woman feels like they need to have 90% of those qualities and those experiences before they will apply for that job. And that's very much me. I will look at it and I go, I don't know whether I can do that. I don't know whether I do that. So to anybody who may watch this, if you think that you can do that job, then apply for that job.
Yeah.
Have the confidence and apply for it, because even if you don't get the job, the experience that interview and the research you would do for that job would give you will improve your chances should you apply again for a similar role. And I would always say, go for it.
Yeah, because I'm one of those people as well, same as you. When I'm looking at a job, am I qualified to do that? Am I qualified to do that? Can I do that? And actually, a lot of the answer is yes, I could do that, but I'm not qualified to do it. But now you just go for it.
Yes, and I would say that to anybody. I'd say it to men and women, but my reason for saying it to women is that women are less likely to than men.
Yeah.
So yes, I think if I could have changed something, if I could have done something differently, I think I would have made that move into a more corporate or training or management role sooner than I did away from my clinical role.
Okay.
Because I enjoy that side of things. Not that I didn't enjoy my pharmacy side, but that could be quite routine, I suppose.
Okay, that's interesting. That's all really good stuff that you've given there.
Okay.
Really good information. Have you got any kind of resources, so books, websites, podcasts, anything like that, that will help the students get a little bit more insight?
Not overly. I've tried looking, but there's not too much out there. I mean, there are lots of books on being a facilitator and that kind of thing. So I think initially I would look at facilitation skills, because that's really useful in both like a management approach and also a training approach. But in terms of qualifications, then just start at the lowest level, level 3 qualification in team leading, supervising, management, or training. There's apprenticeships out there for learning mentors, those kind of things.
So obtain all the qualifications you can.
All the qualifications you can, yes. The NHS has been very good, and they supported me through my level 3 team leader, my level 5 leadership and management, my level 4 preparing to teach in the lifelong learning sector, level 3 assessor qualification, level 4 internal quality assurer qualification. So they've put me through, and I'm just about to start my level 5 leadership and development consultant apprenticeship as well next year.
Okay, so there's lots of opportunities, I guess, within the NHS to get
lots,
extra qualifications.
Lots of opportunities, yes, to develop, yes.
Amazing. Thank you so much for answering questions for me.
It's okay, you're welcome.
Really, really insightful.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.